Hi, this is Jeff from Site Subscribe, and what we're going to do here today is we're going to use a plugin called the Genesis Extender plugin so that we can facilitate adding content to different locations on our website. Genesis Extender is an awesome plugin, and it does have a limitation of only working on the Genesis theme framework. And still highly recommend you use the Genesis theme framework and install Genesis Extender. It's a commercial plugin. I think it's around $45 or so. Well worth the price. I use it on every website that I design these days. It's really awesome. So once you install and activate the Genesis Extender plugin, you'll have a drop down underneath the Genesis menu as a sub-menu item called Genesis Extender, and once you click on that, it brings you to some of the plugin options, including being able to add some CSS overrides, which I've talked about that on a separate video. What we're going to do today, we're going to use the hook boxes, and what we're going to do is create a content area using hooks. First thing before we talk about what hooks are, let's just give this a name. And what we're going to do is we're going to be adding some content into our header of our website. And essentially we're going to allow that to be on all pages. So let's just create a hook area here called header underscore logo. And we've already created some logo code. I'm just going to grab that code and use it directly in this content area. This content area supports HTML and PHP and CSS and such. So what we can do is just paste that in there. We have a div with our logo in it, and we have a clickable logo image tag. And the key here is the hook drop-down box is going to give us access to all the different areas inside of our theme that are exposed from our theme to this plugin. And the Genesis theme framework has a lot of hooks that it exposes, which is really ideal for designing your website. And this plugin gives you really easy access to those hooked areas inside of your theme. So for instance, you'll see as you scroll around here, you have areas like before header. They call it Genesis before header, Genesis header. So we could replace the whole header area with, for instance, a banner image that's going to go across the header in place of whatever's there currently. We could replace the site title, which is probably what we're going to use today for this. We might experiment with that and see what's the best location with using different hooks. Selecting a different hook is kind of non-destructive, but it does show up on your website kind of live in this case. So you'd want to experiment during a time when you don't have a lot of traffic to your website. So you could replace different areas of your website or insert content to areas of your website. As an example, before post you can insert content. After post, before the post title. This is a lot of stuff to look at here. You can kind of scroll through and see where you might want to insert content, in this case a logo. We might want to put a small logo in the footer. We might use a different set of code here with a different size logo to insert into the footer. But let's just stick with the header for now. And what we're going to do is we're going to select, let's try actually a site title and see how that looks. So if we just refresh our website real quick here before I save this hook. Yeah, let's go ahead and save the hook. Actually, save changes, and then we'll refresh this page with a Control R or Command R in our browser, and we should have some code that's rendered inside of our hook. So that was the code that we had pasted into our little hook content area, and we essentially told the plugin to replace the site title. Now let's play around with different hooks. So let's place it in the header instead of the site title. We place the header and we'll just save it that way. So you can kind of play with the different locations inside of your theme by selecting different hooks. And we'll refresh this page now and see by replacing the header how that worked. So now it's kind of put the logo over here. So you can experiment with how that works and how your theme works with that. In this case, I think what we're going to do is we're going to get rid of this, some of this text over here, or maybe replace that with, I don't know if there's a hook to replace exactly that text. We'd have to find it. Might be site description. And it really depends on the theme you're using, how, what content it's replacing or where it's inserting. It may not be replacing anything. It might just insert your content into that area. And we may have to go into our theme and tell it, so we have the logo here. We may need to go into the theme settings here. Let's select that. In our case, I want to get rid of the text here. I don't want the text or the title of the site. I just want the logo. And then I want the tagline to be underneath the logo. So I'm actually in the theme settings now. And I'm going to scroll down to, I think there's a section here. Actually, it might be under a different section. I don't see a section here where we can take out the title. Some themes have a place where you can uncheck the page title or edit the page title right there on the spot. Or I think with some of the recent updates under that might be under here. With the recent update to WordPress, they moved some of the stuff out of the theme section and put it underneath the appearance customized section or the header. So let's play with those, kind of blank those out. Yeah, so this is where, it's using this text, so we want to basically get rid of this, just remove the header image. So you could just as easily in this case, since we're just talking about a logo in the header, you could remove this content and place an image file here, but it wouldn't be clickable. So I like to use code, so it's clickable image, to be able to have someone click on your logo and go to your home page each time. And so I don't tend to use this customizable header area that's available now inside of WordPress. But what we could do is we could just remove this, and we're going to get rid of show header text. That's what we really want to do, get rid of that, and remove header image, and just kind of blank that out. So we're just going to get rid of that. We don't really need it. I like to kind of take control of that section manually. Get rid of show text, save changes. I like to take control of that manually. If you want to, you could use the available section here to edit that, but I think you don't have enough control. The reason being is I want to be able to style things a little more, and we also want to be able to use, we can use different hooks to add the logo in different locations instead of just the header. So that's kind of a limiting section here. So I prefer to use this plugin called Genesis Extender to give us access to much more locations inside of the website. So let's just refresh that and see how that works. Still there. I don't know why that's still there. I think it should have deleted the text. Interesting enough, it didn't do it. Let's look at the customize section. I like to just clear those things out. Here you go, site, page, title, and tagline. I think there's something hiding in there that so that's where it's coming from. So let's just get rid of that. Yeah, we can use the tagline, but I like to just get rid of that as well, and we'll create our own tagline. So it's kind of, we just got rid of that. So let's if we want to create a tagline, what we'll do is we'll create a we can create a tagline inside of our code that we're going to insert, and I'll just put it inside of a paragraph tag, and I'll give the paragraph tag a class called tagline. That way we can style it and move it around however we want. Now we'll take our content that we just edited. I'm going to paste it in place of this content where we're kind of inserting a site description, and let's save that. We might want to play around with the different hooks to make sure we're placing this where we want it, but let's just go ahead and refresh and see if that works for now. So we got rid of the text, and we have our tagline now beneath the logo. Now we have a clickable logo with a hover over alt tag. So that's what we want. Now let's say if we want to adjust the tagline, I have another video that describes using CSS to make adjustments to your website content and styles, and I'll share that later on. And so now we have a logo, and it should be on every page. So if we go to the different pages, that's kind of a consistent location for all the different pages. Now let's use one more example. Let's say we want to add some other content in the footer, or actually let's play around with the play around with the sidebars. Maybe in this case, let's play around with the widget area. So let's go close this window, or just that section. Let's go to the widgets section, and I want to just show you how you can edit the widget areas. As another example of the power of the Genesis Extender plugin. So now we have all these different widget areas. What we can actually do with Genesis Extenders, you can create another widget area that doesn't even exist yet. Let's create a widget area, and let's call it sidebar bottom. And for now, we'll just save that. We'll come back to that in a minute. And another thing we want to do is, with this plugin, is we have something called conditionals, which is a little bit advanced as well. But let's go to conditionals. I don't know why that's still showing as saving. Let's go to conditionals, and we're going to create a new conditional. We can look at the examples here, and we can select, for example, is not page, is page. We can give it different page IDs or page slugs that will identify pages. Is front page, is not front page. Let's say let's use the conditional is not front page, and we're going to save that. Hopefully this is saving, because I don't know why that's still moving. There we go. So now let's go back. So we've created a conditional called is not front page, and let's go back to our widget areas. We've created a widget called sidebar bottom, and let's assign it to a conditional that we just created by using this drop down, and it's not showing up. So let's go back to our conditionals. Now let's save that. It didn't save for some reason. Let's go to our widget area. It's still not saving. So what I'm going to do is refresh this page just to clear things up. Command R in my case on a Mac. Okay, see our conditionals there. If I go to widget areas, there we go. Now if I hit the drop down box on my widget area called sidebar bottom, my conditional is here. I want to check that as is not front page. So I've created a widget area, and I'm going to save it, and it's going to, this widget area will display on every sidebar except for where this conditional is saying is not front page. So in other words, it's not going to show on the front page. So now if I come over to the widgets and I refresh the widgets page, I should have a new widget section here with this name, sidebar bottom. And if I scroll around, here it is, a widget area called sidebar bottom. So let's just add some content. We'll just use a text box, and we'll put some arbitrary text in here. And we can use HTML, so I come out to my text editor and throw some HTML. Let's say we want to add our phone number. Now that's somebody else's phone number. Let's say we want to add, I don't know if we have a phone number. Let's see if a phone number is on our website yet. It isn't. So I'm just going to put an arbitrary phone number in there for now. I'll use my phone number. And we can play with that later to change it, but just because I don't know what other phone number to use offhand. So let's go ahead and put a phone number in here inside of some HTML, and we don't need to give it a title, so we're just going to leave that blank, and we're going to save it. Now I've just put some content into this sidebar area. Now in order to see if that's showing up, I'm on a page other than the home page, and let's just do a refresh here. And it hasn't showed up yet, and that's okay, because what we need to do is tell this widget area where to be on our website inside of by using this hook section. So what we're going to do is tell it to show up at the bottom of a sidebar. So we have to tell it where to display. We haven't done that yet. We've created a widget area, we've assigned content to it. Now we just have to tell the plugin and the theme where to display this widget, because it's not already somewhere by default because it's not part of the theme. We've just created it. So we need to find the section here. There's little sections that are displayed, kind of broken down with little comments. We want to find one that talks about sidebars. So let's scroll down. Here we go, sidebar hooks, and we want to find one that's appropriate. It's going to be after sidebar widget. It's basically at the bottom of the sidebar is how that kind of works. So let's select that. I'm going to hook this widget into the bottom of the sidebar. Click Save Changes, and we can come back to our website, refresh, and there should be some stuff in the sidebar area. Maybe this page doesn't have a sidebar, so let's go to the technical assistance page, and let's just look at our page view here, and let's make sure it has a sidebar assigned. We don't have to have a sidebar, I'm just using this as an example. So let's go to our technical assistance page, and the Genesis theme framework gives us different layout options for each page, whether we're going to have a sidebar and where it would be if we do have one. So you scroll down to the layout settings on your page, expand that. Now you'll have, it's using the default layout, which if we want to look at that, we can come up into Genesis theme settings and look at that. But we can also override it here by selecting one of these different, you can see as you hover over it, we can select right sidebar right here. But we could do that, or we can look at our default sidebar settings for the entire theme, which is using no sidebar at all. Well, let's go ahead and just override that on this page only, and you can do it per page or do it on the whole website by selecting a default layout, or you can do it per page or per post even, or even different types of pages. But let's just go ahead and do right sidebar here by selecting this type of layout view, and we're on just this technical assistance page. We're going to update that. So we've given this page a sidebar, and when it's done saving, we can come back into our page and refresh, and there should be a sidebar available now, and it should have some of the content. Here's the content that we added. just this phone number. That's all we did, is we added that phone number to the bottom of the sidebar area. So you can also come into your widgets now, and you can assign standard stuff into your, it's using by default the primary sidebar section, and you could drag a little contact form in there that you can use on your sidebar. You could put a menu of pages in there using different menus that you've created. So whatever you want to do into your, and then this will go away. That's just a placeholder information. So once you have some content in that sidebar area called your primary sidebar, maybe I need to save that first. Let's save this sidebar. So you can drag content in there of any kind. You could put, little rotating images, whatever you want. You have full control of your sidebars, full control of your content areas. You can insert, stuff using code or short codes. You have lots of control. So there's lots of different ways to do this. So now we've just added this menu into the sidebar, but that sidebar is, because we set a layout for this page, that sidebar is only on this page. If you want that content area to show up on all pages, you would set the default theme settings to use a right sidebar or a left sidebar or what have you. So now we've got some different content we've been able to add on various pages. We updated the header of all the pages, and you could just as easily create another hook with the Genesis Extender to add content to places by just hitting add. You can add another section, and let's just say, just give it a name that makes sense, and I'll just say below footer, and I can, actually I'm in the widget area, sorry, let's not do that, let's do a hook box, add new, called below footer, and I can add some content here, like I could put my my tagline down there again, or my phone number. Let's put the phone number down there again at the bottom of the page after, let's call it, let's look for the footer section, content hooks, header hooks. There should be, I believe there's actually, down here is a footer section, and we can say after footer, and or replace the footer that's already there. So you have a lot of different ways you can add content to be on different locations of your website, kind of throughout. And using different shortcodes, now you can use content in different locations, and have to, in that case, you have to only manage it in one location in your shortcode, and then you can insert the shortcode. Here you notice we're going to need some styling, so that's a whole nother topic, and I have a video for that, how to style things to make them look the way you want, and that'll be a separate video. So anyway, hope that helps, and that's it for now. Bye-bye.